Hi there folks, welcome back to Three Barrow Farm. My name is Amy, for those who are new here. I live with my family of 5 in central Victoria, Australia, and I'm out weeding in one of the vegetable patches that we have here on our 42 acres. There's a little bit of a breeze. It was so still yesterday and I really wanted to be outside, but I had errands to run with my kids, appointments to go to, so I was really disappointed that I didn't end up getting into the garden. So now I'm out here and I thought I'd talk about what I'm planting this month of September. So September is an exciting time because we get to plant just so much more here in the cool zone of Australia. And I've already planted a lot of seeds. I planted them a couple of days before we arrived in September, just because I couldn't help myself. It was raining so much, it was so windy, we had that very stormy weather come through that devastated a lot of people's homes, and that in other states and in Victoria as well. There is a bit of a breeze. I hope that the sound is fine. I'm currently saving up for a different microphone, so I'm just pulling out weeds here, and I've noticed that there are a lot of tomato seedlings coming up in my garden, and this means to me that, you know, the soil is getting warmer and we're getting closer to being able to plant certain things out here. I wouldn't go ahead and plant my tomato plants that I have growing inside. My dogs are fighting in the background, so if you've seen my videos before, you'll know that a lot of videos hold some dog wrestling sounds. Anyhow, I'm pulling all these weeds out, and I'm pulling out some of the tomato seedlings that are coming up because there are literally hundreds coming up. On the 30th of August, I planted some eggplants, capsicum and chili seeds into trays, which I have inside, and so far none of them have come up. So it's a bit early for them to come up anyhow. I've also planted beetroot and lettuce seeds, and they have come up, all of them. I've planted some dill as well, which hasn't come up yet. Some sorrel and some spinach as well. The spinach has come up as well. I've also planted a whole heap of flowers. Now, I like to plant lots of flowers in my vegetable gardens. I have some flowers already growing, so I've got poppies that are growing behind me, a lot of them, and these ones have been coming up over winter. And so I really enjoy growing the flowers for many reasons. I grow ones that you can eat the flowers off, and I also plant them for the beneficial insects and the bees. So I've got marigolds and zinnias and cosmos coming up in a tray, and they've already started coming up. So within days they started popping their heads up in the trays. So that's what I have planted so far this month, or I planted them a couple of days before the month, but generally I will plant these things, most of these things in September, or start them. So I've just got my book here with all of the things that I've planted. So what I also have plans to plant are more chilies. I will put which chilies I plan on planting this month up on the screen. I'm also planning on raising some zucchinis and more tomatoes as well. So I have quite a few tomato plants that are doing really, really well inside. I've already potted them up they are doing extremely well. Some of them are a little bit pale on their leaves, but I've given them a spray of seaweed and some other nutrients, hoping that this will alter that. So yeah, I've got lots of tomato plants already, but I plan to plant more seeds and some different varieties as well, which I will pop up on the screen right now. And I'm patiently waiting for my manure to come. I'm going to be amending my beds this week. I'm going to be putting down lots of nutrients, and hopefully the manure will come later this week or next week, and I will start putting it throughout the whole entire garden patches. I'm feeling a tiny bit behind, but this is normal for me to feel this way. But I'm feeling it particularly because last week I didn't really get into the garden at all, and this area is really overrun with weed seed because we allowed some weeds that were, around the garden to go to seed. And I'm planning, hopefully, we all have the greatest of intentions, but I'm hoping that this year I won't allow any weeds to grow around the vegetable patches, and therefore their seeds will not blow into my garden. So we work on a no-dig basis here, and I will talk more about this. I know I've been mentioning it quite often, but I'm just waiting for that load of manure to come so I can show you guys how I start off my garden beds and how we maintain them as well. Okay, so other things I will be planting this month are asparagus seeds. So you will have noticed in another video that I planted some asparagus crowns for the very first time, and I plan to raise some more plants through seed. So I will be planting some seed out and we'll see how they go. I've already spoken about the beetroot that I've planted, but I will be continuing to plant beetroot, sort of succession sowing beetroot. So I think I'll be sowing beetroot every 2 weeks, just so I get enough and I stagger the harvests so that I can harvest them and make pickled beetroot, and then wait a couple of weeks, harvest, make pickled beetroot, and then I'm not overwhelmed with all of it in the one go. I have some broccoli that I planted in seed trays, some sprouting broccoli. You would have seen that in my last video of what I was planting and raising in August. So they're pretty much ready to come out here, and they can come out here because they're frost hardy, and I've just got to work out where I'm going to put them. I've got to work out where I'm going to put most things, actually. I just want to weed through this bed in particular and work out what space I have and what is here. Harvest a few things, get rid of some things like my Brussels sprouts and some of my broccolis that I've already harvested from. I also have some cabbages and some kales that are almost ready to come out here as well. But I will be doing some more succession sowing with them. I probably will just do one sowing a month and see how that goes. Okay, so I've mentioned the capsicums. I will be planting some more capsicums and eggplants out as well. I'm not going to plant as many chilies because I have still got quite a stock of chilies from last year. We've got a whole massive jar of dried chilies, and we've got chili powder as well. So I'm not in a need to grow them, although there's particular types that I want to grow, so I will pop them on the screen, especially jalapenos. I really want to grow them, particularly for the fire cider that I make each winter. Carrots, I've already prepped an area that I want to sow some carrot seed, so I'm going to sow directly into the ground. I always find with root vegetables, except for beetroot, they're just best sown into the ground. Their roots can sort of get mangled and twisty and turny and can fork as well. But if they're sown into the ground, because they don't like to be transplanted, so that sort of happens when they're transplanted, they sort of fork. But if you sprinkle them into the ground, I've just had more success with straighter, more healthier carrots that way. So I will be sprinkling some seed very soon. I'm unsure as to whether I will do celery. I've got some celery plants growing. I've got to do a big harvest. It's not the best celery, but it tastes like celery, and it's fine to us. It does the job. So I'm going to have another think about celery, but now would be the time to sow some celery seeds as well into punnets. Corn is another thing that we can now start sowing, and I'm kind of keen to grow some corn this year, particularly the blue popping corn that we love so much. Last year I didn't have so much success with it, so this year I'm hoping that we have more of a success. So I will be planting some corn this month in punnets as well, and then I will plant them out once the last frost has been. I'm going to continually plant lettuce. So as I said, I've got some lettuce plants inside. I sowed some seeds a couple of days ago, but I also have some seedlings that I have raised inside last month in August, and they are almost ready to plant out here as well. So I will be continuing to plant lettuce, but I will put on the screen which ones I have sown already. I'm going to plant some more leek. So I have leeks growing in the garden, and I'm going to succession sow these as well. So I'm really, really keen on getting on top of succession sowing. I have not been successful in keeping up with sowing in succession. Oh, there's a nasturtium plant here coming up from a seed. I accidentally pulled it out. There are so many nasturtium seeds out here that got left over from the plants, and I would say most of them are not going to succeed, and I'm going to definitely be planting some nasturtium plants this month as well. But back to the leek, I plan to sow seed every couple of weeks, I'd say, and I'm just going to do a few at a time. So when I say a few, I like to do them in clumps. So I do like 4 or 5 seeds in one sort of clump, and they grow quite well that way. I just harvest them all at the same time, or I can pull out the biggest ones and leave the smaller ones. So I'm just looking at my notes, and other things I want to plant this month, all of the potatoes. I want to get the rest of the potatoes in the ground. It's another reason why I have to get on top of this and clear these beds of the weeds. I'm gonna put huge amounts of manure on top of the potatoes because they love that. But all of my potatoes that I've planted already are sprouting up, so I really need to get that manure so I can continue to heap the soil on top of the plants. So other things that we can plant here that I'm possibly going to be planting lots of different herbs. Of course, I will be planting lots of herbs. I have got quite a few going in the garden, but again, if I want to be able to keep harvesting, I need to keep planting them out, because some of these parsleys have been in the ground all winter, so I need to sow some more parsley plants and get them in as well. So parsnips and peas are also things that I'm going to be planting more of. Radishes as well, which you can succession sow because they don't take very long at all. You can just sow them quite close to one another, maybe every week or every second week, and not as many, just as many as you'll use. So yeah, radishes are definitely something that I will continue to sow spinach as well. I want to succession sow spinach. So probably maybe once a month or once every 3 weeks, something like that, once every 3 or 4 weeks, because the plants sort of survive, you know, they last for a long time. Especially the way that I harvest spinach is by just picking off, and lettuce as well. I just pick around the outside of the plants. So I'm just picking the outer leaves every day or every couple of days, every 3 days. But you just got to work out how many you need, and I think that'll be something that I'll be experimenting with as well, because my kids are older now and we eat more food. It's just a matter of trying to calculate how much we need now as a growing family. Spring onions. I'm going to be planting many spring onions, and again, another thing that I want to succession plant. Sorry about the breeze. I'm just going to wait a moment until it passes. Get a few more of these weeds while I'm at it. Some of these weeds have gotten so big after all the rain and some of the sunshine we've had, but it's been wild. I hope you guys have all been staying really safe in that wind. It's really scary when there's lots of old gum trees around, and I've seen a lot that have fallen down. Thankfully, we haven't had any fallen down on our property, but we did do a huge maintenance on our trees, getting rid of old branches and stuff, and hopefully they're all pretty safe so that they don't fall on any of the animals. So yeah, spring onions is definitely something that I will be planting a lot of. I've already planted out the ones that I sowed in August, so they are in the garden now and they're doing okay. They're still really little and they're not really showing any signs of new leaves, but they have survived all of that wind because I planted them out before the wind came. And right now we can also plant Swedes and turnips if you would like to plant those. I'm going to plant a few. It's not really something that we eat a lot of during the hotter months, so it's something that I sort of plant more in autumn to harvest in winter, but I'm going to give a few a go. At least I can make up some batches of soup and freeze it for the winter months. And lastly, tomatoes. I know I had mentioned it earlier, but I just want to get as many varieties that I have, and I'm just using the seed that I've got. I'm not buying any new seed this year other than a few particular things, more medicinal herbs I've purchased. So I'm just trying to use what I have, and in that way save some money this year, because I've already spent the money. So I've already, because I've already spent the money on the seeds, I won't be spending any of our budget this year on seeds. I mean, there's always a few seeds that you end up getting, but I'm also planning to not rely on buying any seedlings. Okay, friends, I feel like I need to wrap up this video because the weather is just not agreeing with me. But I wanted to finish off with just talking about seedlings. I try to raise as many seedlings from seed as I can, but each year sometimes this wind, seriously. It's nothing like the wind we've been having, but the breeze is just going to mess up my sound. I'm so sorry, but I really want to just get this video done, and I really, want to get weeding done, so I'm trying to do 2 things at once. There's just so much to do out here, and I've had very little time to be out here that I can't afford to, just be talking on the camera and not be doing anything productive. So with seedlings, I have purchased seedlings in the past. I did last year as well, and I did in autumn, late autumn as well, because I just wasn't on top of things earlier this year. And I'm never sure whether I'm wasting my money or not, because you never really know how old those seedlings are. And some, you know, plants have a lifespan. And once they reach the end of that lifespan, they just want to make seed. So they could just go to seed if they're not, you know, if they haven't had enough sun, enough nutrients, enough water, or if they're old as well. I even walked into a nursery the other week, and I was walking in there for work to get a few things, and I saw some broccolis, some punnets of broccolis that had already gone to seed, and they're still selling them. They're still trying to pass them off as a plant that's going to produce anything, but those plants are not going to produce anything. They're just going to keep, it's just going to keep going to seed. Even if you cut those flowers off, it's going to continually because it's come to the end of its life. It's probably been in that nursery all winter, and it's exceeded the lifespan of that plant, and now it's just trying to make babies before it dies. And that is, you know, that is the purpose of plants, is to seed and reproduce. And so I guess what I'm trying to get to is the fact that you don't know when those seeds have been sown. You don't know how old those plants are. There isn't a law to put those dates on the seedlings. As far as I'm aware, nobody does that. But when you purchase from a farm side stall or from someone you know that has sown them, at least you know a bit more about how old those plants are. But also, if you sow it yourself and you take notes, you know exactly when you've planted them, you know exactly how many weeks you've got left till they mature, and you know whether you're gonna get something out of them, and it's not a waste of time putting it in your garden, not a waste of money, that sort of thing. So yeah, you can never be sure how old a seedling plant is and whether it's going to produce much. So my aim this year is to sow everything from seed as much as I can and try and stay on top of it and try and do that succession planting so that my harvest season is a longer season, and we'll see how we go. It's all experimenting, really. Gardening is that. Every year there are different challenges. Now my dogs are barking at something. I need to go and check that out. But yeah, really looking forward to planting some more seeds. But the last month of when I'm, able to add in some different vegetables into the sowing is October, and that's when you can really plant everything. So I'm looking forward to when October comes along, whether I'll be able to hold off from planting pumpkin seeds and things like that, I don't know. But I'm definitely going to be planting zucchinis, even though some places recommend you to do zucchinis later. I've found that putting them under some frost cloth has been perfect in the garden. It's just that they get really big really fast. But I'm going to hold off with the cucumbers because last year I planted them early and they failed anyway in the cold. So yeah, I'm going to hold off planting the cucumbers unless I can pot them up. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what I end up doing. But yeah, I'm excited that spring is, the spring weather is pretty much here. As soon as that wind starts blowing, that spring is here. And yeah, let's see what we get done. Sorry about the sound in advance. My hat's going to blow off again. I'm going to go. See you next time, friends. Thank you for watching. I also keep on forgetting to mention I have a link in the description below for you to buy me a coffee. My husband and I will put this money towards planting more trees on our property. But yeah, just if you felt like you wanted to say thank you in some way for the videos and the content that I'm producing here, you can go over there and buy me a coffee. Buy me a tree, really. And also, I don't mention it, but it does help when you like and comment and share and subscribe, of course, to my channel. But yeah, thanks for being here, guys, and I we'll see you soon with another video. Bye for now. Enjoy your garden. Okay folks, it is the day after. I just filmed all of that footage, and not only have I saved up enough and got myself a new microphone, which will be very handy in for all sorts of reasons really, but what's behind me? A massive load of cow manure, 8 cubes of cow manure, so very excited. Just what a gardening girl really wants is a big pile of poo. So I'm very excited about that.